Diane in Denmark here, rah, 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 and we're on to day 3 and deux trois of our New Year, New You course. Hope you're getting on well with this. How did you get on yesterday? Did you actually check off your routines? Remember, you can either use your control journal if you made up one like mine, or you can use an app. The main thing is that you're checking them off. Have you been making excuses for not doing it? We were talking about that yesterday. If you're making those excuses, you've got to stop, because otherwise, you know, we make up these kind of fancy plans, but we don't follow through on it. Very, very important. Anyway, I've got all my items checked off. I'm dressed to shoes, and I'm all about the circles today. I've got circle earrings, I've got circles in my pearls, I've got circles on my trousers. I've got my items checked off, and today we are going to be going through tackling all those tumbling thoughts that are going around in your head. We've got a plan for our day. That was what we're talking about on Monday. Yesterday we were talking about a plan for our week, and now we're going to attack all those tumbling thoughts that are going on in our head. We're going to be using a method called getting things done, which puts our rambling thoughts into order. And just before I run today's video, just a wee tip for you. If you find that I'm speaking too fast or too slow, you can go into the settings on YouTube. Just press anywhere on the screen, anywhere on the screen, and a little cogwheel will come up, and you press playback speed. You'll see that in today's video, I'm speaking very, very slowly. But when we first did this course together, it was 2 years ago, and I was going through menopause. And I can see in this video I was having a very, very slow day. If you want to speed me up, you can go into playback settings and speed me up to double speed. Conversely, if you find that sometimes I'm speaking too fast for you in my videos, if English isn't your mother tongue, you can slow me right down. So anyway, the choice is yours. I hope that's helpful. Anyway, without further ado, let's get on with today's video and let's get tackling those thoughts that are tumbling around our heads, and I shall see you on the other side. Okay, bye for now. Diane in Denmark here. Welcome back to day 3 of our Bahookie camp. What is Bahookie camp? Where we're just working towards a new improved version of ourselves for 2018, or whenever you find these videos. You know, it could be 2072, who knows if we'll still all be around by then. Just to recap, on the first day, we looked at our daily routines, the things that we need to do physically to keep our lives balanced. And that's just the basic things like doing a lull every day, a load of laundry, making sure that the dishwasher is emptied or that the dishes are done, you know, cooking a meal for ourselves, getting dressed to shoes so that we are ready for action, you know, all those things. And all we did was we put it down in a list, and it can be a notebook, it can be in your control journal if you had dusted off that. Oh, that's my extra. Oh, that's anyway. I'm just using a plain notebook. Some of you are doing bullet journaling, you know, whatever you want to do, that is fine. You don't need anything special. And so we came up with, you know, our tasks for the day, you know, and you were just writing them down and, you know, checking them off and putting down the 3 tasks that you kind of avoid doing. We're doing those first. We're making sure that we focus on those, because once you've got those out of the way, the rest just happen. And also we were adding something pointless, as the Danish Queen says, to our day. Something that's going to kind of stimulate us, something that's going to relax us. And you've all had great suggestions for that, and we're actually writing it down on a piece of paper so that when we come to have our 15 minutes of doing something pointless, where we just, you know, get away from the everyday stresses and struggles and strains, that we know what to do. You know, I've told you before, we made a pamper basket. Do you remember that? We did it in the virtual retreat that we did together. I think it was May we did that, because I saw the videos the other day, and I'm sitting outside and sunglasses on. Not like now. Anyway, So hopefully you've got your list going. And yesterday I was in town with my daughter. If you saw Instagram, you already know this, because yesterday I was talking about I would quite like to get some bubbles, and guess what I found? Yeah, who doesn't love bubbles? So I'm forever going to be blowing bubbles. So that's going in my little pamper basket, my bubbles. So the first day, you know, we're thinking about our routines, getting back on track with those. Remember, if you are completely new to getting things done, Flylady system, I've got playlists. You know, I've already worked through all of these things before. This series is just for those of you who need a little extra, you know, kick up the bahookie to get you going this year. So anyway, that was day one. We're looking at our daily routines, you know, morning routine, evening routine. And then yesterday we were looking at our weekly focus, you know, planning for the week, planning our week out so that we have a rhythm to our day. And I know that is going to be really helpful for many of you who are, you know, perhaps recently retired, because you've no longer got the rhythm that you've had for many years, you know, going to work, doing things on certain days. Suddenly when you are retired, or maybe you know, you're pregnant and you're at home and you no longer have a set rhythm to your day, having this daily focus for your day is going to be really helpful for you. Really helpful to you. It's going to be helpful to everybody, but especially if you have maybe changed situations, or as I said before, if you are working from home, you know, if you've never really thought about having a daily focus before, that's going to be really helpful for you. Anyway, the video's on the playlist, and it was the same thing again. You know, you took a piece of paper, let me just get my one, because mine is in here, and you were writing down, oh hold on, that's my weekly home blessing list. Go back a bit, here we are, focus. Hold on a wee minute. Right, here we are. This is mine, and in my notebook I actually have kind of plastic dividers where I can use, you know, a felt tip pen and mark them off, and then at the end of the week I can kind of rub them out. That works for me. So that was yesterday. We were talking about having a weekly focus. If you don't know anything about that, go and watch yesterday's video. I've also got a playlist for the Flylady's daily focus, where I walk you through and show you, you know, me going through the contents of my handbag and filling up with petrol. So it's all up there. Now today we are going to be talking about, let me just get to the next section. I said here where we're going to be talking about, here we are, you know, we've done the getting things done system before. I've talked to you about that, and the getting things done system works really well with the Flylady system, because the getting things done system, it takes, at least for me, it has meant that, you know, for Flylady, I've got the plan for my home. You know, I know what I'm meant to be doing. I've got, you know, weekly home blessing, and I get round, and, you know, we've got the zones, we've got all that. And I've got my daily routine, so, you know, I've got my laundry up to date, and I know what I'm having for dinner, you know, and everything's planned. But I had an awful lot of thoughts, you know, tumbling around in here. And the getting things done system has been so helpful. And thanks to Melissa, you know, former Flylady Melissa, my bestie, Flylady partner. She introduced me to getting things done system, and that has been a lifesaver for me. It's just opened up a whole new dimension to, you know, feeling that I'm on top of things. And I did a video about it. I've done several videos about it before, but it was, I think the one was called Organising Our Thoughts, where I really go through it. But anyway, I'll take you quickly through it today. You're just going to take another piece of paper, like we did before, or your control journal, or your bullet journal, whatever you're using. And for a very simplified version, what you can do is you take a piece of paper and just, you know, into 4 sections. Hold on, add a wee line there so it's easier for you to see. And whenever I have a thought, it normally falls into one of these categories. Now, these are just very basic categories, but these are just basic checklists for me, and I'll explain in a minute how it works. So, for example, here I've got home, and I've written down monitor. We've got a problem with our computer monitor. That's something that I can sort out at home when I'm physically inside this building. Errand day, we were talking about that yesterday. This is anything that I need to remember an errand day, and I've written it down in Danish because, you know, and I've been in Denmark for 20 years, so I kind of think in Danish, and I've got vethondiller, which is little, you know, cotton wool pads. I need to add those into my grocery list. Anyway, IKEA, some china to get from IKEA. Nothing else on errand at the moment because I was out with my daughter yesterday. We did most of that. Discuss, that's anything that I need to discuss with either the kids or my husband or family in Scotland or friends. And I've written down Vinterferie, which is the kids' half-term holiday in February. And I'd written down Simple Minds. That was to speak to my husband about going to Simple Minds concert. That's off the list. We've got our tickets. And then I've got smartphone, computer. These are any things that I do when I am working at the computer, or I have my smartphone and I'm standing in a queue waiting to pay somewhere. Instead of wasting my time, I can do some things from this list. And that is checking out on the internet. I'm looking for a new mirror for our bedroom, and dinner with a friend. I want to catch up with her, so I'll send her a text. Yeah, so that's my list. Plus I've got another one because these are basically things that I need to do like this week or right now. And then I've got another list which says things for this week that I need to work on. That's vaping. It's something to do with working here in Denmark. For the month, so things that maybe not need to be done on the first list, but you know, I need to keep on the radar. Things that are pending, you know, when people have to come back to me, like workmen or something, if something, I'm waiting for something to get done. And then I also have a wish list, and that is just, you know, if I suddenly have a thought of, you know, I would really like to, and I've told you about this before, there's a band I would love to see, Hoiksop, who are a Norwegian band. They don't tour very often, but that's on my kind of radar, so that if they come somewhere close to Copenhagen, I'm going to get hubby or a friend and we'll go for the weekend. And also Etienne Daho, I've rekindled my passion for Etienne Daho recently, and I would love to go and see him. I'll probably go and see him in France or maybe in Belgium, and there I can maybe go and combine that with a visit to friends. So these are just a wish, and also to return to Japan. So those are a wish list, but just kind of keeps it on my radar, and some of the things that I've had on my wish list have actually happened. So actually, just that fact of writing it down gets you one step nearer. So now this thing about the getting things done system, this really helps me because instead of having, you know, a lot of you have these huge to-do lists. But the problem with a list, just a general to-do list, is that it's not, you know, you look at your long to-do list and first of all, it just seems overwhelming. You know, if you've got like 30 items on a list, you just say, oh my goodness, okay, and then you look the other way and then you go off and do something else. This means that we've got our to-do list, but it's broken down so that when we are in, like either in the mood or in the right situation, we know where to start. For example, when I'm working from home, when I've got a minute, when I'm not working, I'll say, okay, I'm going to set my timer and do something from my to-do list. I'm not going to look at the discuss section because, you know, hubby is at work or the kids are at school. I can go to the home section and I can see, oh yeah, we've got a problem with the computer monitor and I'm changing those over. So that's something I do from that. When I leave the house, when I physically go out the house, I have my list for errand day, and remember that can be things like, you know, handing in books to the library. I've actually got something I need to write down. I've got a coat that I want to hang into the dry cleaners. It's not often I use the dry cleaners because they're so expensive, but there's a coat that I do want to get dry cleaned, so I've put that on my list. And I have to write these things down immediately, because if you're anything like me, they'll be, you know, in one ear out the other, especially when you're going through menopause. And then, you know, as I said, if I'm standing in a queue somewhere, you know, I can do something from this list. Now, a couple of these things, I also keep them on my smartphone, so that, you know, the errand day things, you know, I have a list. I use Google Keep, so that I have them, you know, in my notebook here, and also in my electronic list, and that way, you know, once or twice a week I kind of check and make sure that they're on both. And then it's the same thing, things for the week I can go and check, and you know, instead of having this to-do list where it's all a bit of a ramble, I know exactly which section to go to, and that's been very, very helpful for me, because like everything else, once you've got the plan, you can work to it. But if you don't have a plan, you know, it's like one of those, let me just show you, you know, when you've got those things in the magazine, okay, hold on, this is going to seem really silly, but you know, when you've got these things in the magazine and you have to find out which is the quickest way to, you know, or how you get from there to there. That's how I sometimes feel if I have a to-do list that's just written down all these jumbled thoughts. That's how it is for me in my head. I don't know how to get there. But by having this getting things done list, it makes it so much easier for me. I know that if I'm at home, I go to this section. If I'm outside of the home, I go to this section. If hubby is home, the kids are home, I can, you know, we can discuss this at the dining table, you know, when, or, you know, at the kitchen table when we're having our dinner. It just makes it much, much simpler for me. So give it a try, and I know a lot of you are already doing it. And as I said, you don't have to be doing the same as me. You can use electronic. You can put it in your control journal. I carry an awful lot of little notebooks around with me, and then, you know, I just write it down and then later transfer it, because I can see here, this is a little notebook that I was using where we're talking about getting control back of our inboxes, you know. So I've got an awful lot of these little notebooks in, you know, lying around. But just see if that works for you. And the other thing that I wanted to say today is, tomorrow I'll be doing a little roundup of what we've been doing on, you know, the Spahookie camp, day 1, 2 and 3. And we're coming up for the weekend, and I know the weekend is danger zone for you. If you follow me on Instagram, Diane in Denmark, it's the same as the channel here. You will see that on Friday afternoons, Friday evenings, I always post a little meme about, you know, abandon your routines and come over to the dark side, you know, of Emperor Palpatine from Star Wars. Do not abandon these routines, you know, your daily routines or your weekly routines. Do not abandon those at the weekend, because the problem is for us, you know, we enjoy, oh, you probably saw the Spahookie camp and thought, oh great, you know, I'm going to get organised. And we get it all written down. But then after a few days, you know, it's not so sexy or exciting. And that's the thing here, it's not sexy or exciting. These are just daily routines, weekly planning, little daily things. But these are these little boring things that we just go through that become second nature. These are the things which are going to open up your world for you and give you more time to do what you want, give you more time for pointless tasks, and, you know, being able to connect with others, being able to, you know, have time to read a good book, having time to go out and meet friends. So just a little warning here, that I know, and it's like anything, it's like starting a new diet, starting a new exercise regime. You know, you're thinking, okay, this time, you know, you've got your pom-poms and this time it's going to work. And after a few days, it's not sexy anymore. It really isn't sexy anymore. But all the good things are going to happen when we just, you know, buckle down and do these little everyday tasks. So anyway, and as I said before, I hate making long videos. The point of my channel is not to have you sitting there all day. It's to get you motivated, you know, give you a little rah, rah, rah until you can do it with my pom-poms. So to recap, you're just going to, for the next week or so, you're just going to be working on these things, your daily routines, your weekly routines, and then also having a checklist so that you know what you're supposed to be doing. Okay, that's all it is. It's just so that when you've got time, you know what you're supposed to be doing. And you're going to carry on with your little daily pamper, whether that is blowing bubbles. Hold on, just get a wee few more. Ooh, they're actually quite good bubbles. Yeah. Whether it's blowing bubbles or, you know, reading, needlework, doing the crossword, you know, put something in the comments if you've discovered something new that you want to do and you can manage to do it like in 15 minutes. And just as a little teaser for next week we are going to be hitting all the zones in your home, you know, all 5 zones in 1 week. Because I think we all need a little recap of, you know, how to do the zone things, and to show you what just doing 10 or 15 minutes in the zone can do, how much you can get done. Anyway, that's it for me. I'm off to have another cup of coffee. Slept a bit better today, last night I should say, and it's just getting daylight here. It's 8:30 in the morning, and finally the light is coming back to us. Anyway, Diane in Denmark, have a fantastic day. You know what I always say, live long and prosper, and have a fantastic day out there. Okay, see you very soon. Bye for now.